Hey, everybody. David Swor here once again with DJ Cox for another episode of Frenemies. And tonight, DJ, it's our Rangers preview. And so I just want to go ahead and get this out of the way. I could think of one time I was wrong in the past year, DJ, and it was on the Rangers podcast last year. That was the one time that I could think of I've been wrong all year. So for our fans out there, don't go back and watch the Rangers from last year. That was really bad, at least on my part. I can't remember, DJ, if you were in the same camp, but if you'll remember, we were expecting the Rangers to make a jump 2 years ago. They were relevant, and they made a couple moves. They got Mike Minor, and they looked like they had a decent rotation and everything, and then down they went, DJ. So I won't get into all that. I'm going to let you explain. Tell us about the 2020 Rangers.
Yeah, so that 2020 season did not go as planned, obviously. I probably had them above the A's, to be honest with you, because I had everybody above the A's last year, and of course they ended up
What was up with that? Well, we'll have to talk about that later. Come on, DJ.
Yeah, so Rangers did not do squat last year. It was a rough season, 22-38, fifth place, dead last in the NL West. David, here's the problem. When you're 29th in batting average, you're 29th in on-base percentage, you're 29th in OPS, you're 29th in runs scored, and you're 23rd in homers. That's a problem, and that is exactly what happened to this team. 24th in starter ERA and 23rd in WHIP, 25th in walks per nine. So it's a well-rounded just disaster by the Rangers last year. Absolute chaos. What a mess it was. And David, we did say this, and I will tell you this. Me and you both were talking about how they could not hit. Their batting averages last year going into the season were brutal, and it proved to be everything we talked about. So we were right on that end. They cannot hit. They rely on guys to kind of just hit bombs and bat like 190. It's ridiculous. And some of the guys that they pick up are just like that kind of guys. So Chris Woodward also had a pretty weird year. I don't respect that guy at all. I think he's a bad manager. I know we're starting off on a wrong foot here with the Ranger fans, but who in the world thinks it's wrong to hit a grand slam if you're up 7 in the 8th inning?
I forgot about this.
What is wrong with him, David? Seriously.
Hey, yeah, I had forgotten about that. I've forgotten it was the Rangers and Chris Woodward. We talked about this. That's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of. DJ, I've just got to throw this in here, okay? Yesterday, we drove 2.5 hours to play basketball against this team, right? So we get out there, and it's obvious just straight out of the gate, this is going to be a blowout. So we press them for the first quarter and a half, get a comfortable lead, and then we just play basketball, right? I mean, literally, just play basketball. We were a lot better than they were. We ended up winning by about 40. We go to shake hands through the line. Coach says, nope, not shaking your hand. Yeah, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? We got players that want to play too. And so it's like, if you're not, rubbing it in, pressing the whole game and all that, we were subbing and all that, but we were just playing basketball. And so the same thing goes here. These are professional athletes. People pay money to watch them play the game. I want to see the home run, okay? And so does everybody else out there. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. I'm off my soapbox now, though.
I'm not off my soapbox. This was a 7-run game in the 8th. This is the major leagues. They can come back from that. It's happened many times, David.
I'm going so much further. I don't care if it's a 15-run game. Yeah. What is your pitcher doing throwing a meatball down the middle to the best hitter, one of the best hitters in the world? That's why I would pay the money, is to see him do that. It's just nonsense to me.
So to piggyback off of your little story, I'm going to go with one of my own that just happened this weekend at my daughter's softball game. Now, remember, these are 8th graders, freshmen, kind of that age group here. So it's the same type of thing. You're the mother of a kid who's out there pitching, and yeehaw, you're that mom in the stands who thinks everything's going wrong for their kid, and your umpire's terrible, and it's all his fault. Well, here's the thing. He calls a 27-foot rule, and you're a softball guy, so you probably know this. Like, the pitcher can't go like 27 foot or something like that out of the pitching. I have no idea. I'm a baseball guy. But anyway, they made that call. And, this is like a 10-run game. The game's over. It's a 10-run win for the other team. And she her daughter had given up, 5 home runs, 5 bombs, David. Yeah, it's the umpire's fault. That makes total sense. Yeah, that's total. She goes and chases the umpire and says you're an idiot and blah blah blah, and you hate my team. And no, what was an idiot is your daughter for giving up 5 bombs. That's what that's all about. So I have no idea what in the world these people are thinking. It just makes no sense whatsoever to me. I don't get it. No clue whatsoever. But that's exactly what Woodward was all about. In the same situation, Tatis hits a grand slam, a 7-run game, go up 11 in the 8th inning. Who cares? Like,
what was he supposed to do?
No clue. I
What
have
was he?
no clue.
Hey, for all of our baseball players out there and softball players, it's hard to hit a home run. Okay, it's not like he went up there like a video game and hit the power button or whatever and just decided he was going to do it. It doesn't work that way. And so, I mean, my gosh, it's like trying to, as a pitcher, apologizing for striking somebody else. What am I supposed to do? That's so dumb. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard of.
I couldn't believe it, man. And the Rangers were 0-4 versus the Padres, so that's their problem. 0-4 versus the Padres. Sorry, that's on you. Like, I lost all respect for him after I heard that. I couldn't believe it. I felt kind of bad for Tatis, but then I was just like, why am I feeling bad for him? He has nothing to feel bad about. Like, he did nothing wrong. I mean, he hit the ball hard. He hit a home run. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. We'll get off that, I guess. But 2-8, David. These guys were 2-8 versus the Mariners last year. 2-8, and then 3-7 versus the A's. So against those 3 teams, they were brutal. That really, really hurt them last year. The season started 3-9 for them, and they could not recover. Isaiah Kiner Falefa. I get it. Yes. Practiced that one a long time in the pregame show here today. David had to walk me through the pronunciation. My English skills are pretty bad there. So Joey Gallo, they both won Gold Gloves. However, 5 regulars in the starting lineup hit in the 100s, David. 5 regulars hit in the 100s. So I don't know how you try to win baseball games when you're hitting in the 100s with 5 starters. But
The crazy thing to me, DJ, is they designed it this way.
Yep.
This is literally how they designed the team. Any idiot who could pick up a stat guide could look at it and say, hey, they got a bunch of guys who don't hit for average, but they were supposed to hit home runs and didn't happen. DJ, I'm going to tell you what their rotation was last year and why we thought there might be a chance for the Rangers, okay? Lance Lynn, stud. Mike Minor has been a stud. Corey Kluber, stud. Jordan Lyles, and Kyle Gibson, been pretty good.
Yeah.
But Kluber pitched 1 inning, was out for the year. I don't remember his injury, but if I remember right, it was something like a freak injury, like I don't remember what it was. Like he broke a finger or something, I'm thinking. But anyway, 1 inning, he was done. Mike Minor, 5.60 ERA. Jordan Lyles was terrible, 7.02 ERA. And then Kyle Gibson, 5.35. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to those guys, man. But, hey, listen, Chris Woodward made them be woke. So, they were part of the Me Too movement or something, whatever. But, so, DJ, the Rangers made a ton of moves. So let's go through these additions here real quick. They got my boy Dane Dunning in the trade there with the White Sox. They got, we're getting into pronunciation situations here, so I'm going to just short this. They got Fulte from the Braves. Obviously, he was released. They got David Dahl, which I think is a great pickup from the Rockies. Tyson Ross, Ian Kennedy, Brock Holt, Chris Davis in a trade with the A's, Charlie Culberson, Kohei Arihara, and Nate Lowe, not to be confused with Mr. Lau there in Tampa Bay. So if I missed anybody, you go ahead and add them. But those are the ones. They had a ton of minor league signings that I didn't add here, but those are a bunch of names that most people have heard.
Yeah, so here's a few. I had a few little comments to make about the additions. Arihara came over from Japan, had a career 61-53 record with a 3.65 ERA. I don't know how that transitions to the major leagues. Those guys are all different as far as their transition goes. It'll be interesting to see. This is a total Rangers move, though. They always do that. They got a big scouting system in Japan. They bring a lot of guys over there from there, especially pitching. So it didn't surprise me when I heard he was a free agent that the Texans were all in on him. So we'll see how he goes. Mike Fultonevich is a Manuka High School graduate. He's from around here as well. He gets a fresh start with the Rangers now. It was a really weird season for him with the Braves last year. He got dropped mid-season. I really don't think Braves fans expected to see that. He struggled mightily and was just pretty much out. So I don't know if he lost it or whatever, but he just he was a great pitcher in high school, man. I remember him hitting in the 90s in high school, and everybody was real high on him. And obviously, he's made it, and he's made a pretty good career out of it. But I'm not sure if the end is here for him, and we'll see how he does this year, and if he can stick with the Rangers. And if he can, good for him. But if you can't stick with the Rangers, David, then I don't know what else is going to happen for him in his career. So I'm hoping he can find it and get back on track a little bit here. Chris Davis, the addition. Man, me and you were texting each other after this trade was happened, and I don't know, man. He got traded for Elvis.
The head scratcher.
Yeah,
the head scratcher all the way around. Like
still don't
the
get
A's of all those shortstops that are out there, and you took Elvis Andrus. It's just a head scratcher, and then Chris Davis as well. But you know what, DJ? I'm going to say this in the Rangers' defense. We pretty much know what Chris Davis has been because he's been the same player every year up until really last year. So I think this is a shrewd move on their part. Andrus was done. He wasn't going to start. He was at best going to be a utility player for him. I think this was a great trade for them. And, I guess for the A's, they got a shortstop. Elvis Andrus isn't a bad player, but I just didn't understand it, man. There's a lot of good shortstops out there, available, obviously through free agency. So I thought it was a weird move personally.
I did too. And Chris Davis, like you said, is the model of consistency. He batted 247 for like 3 straight years, and his bombs and RBI numbers were pretty much the same too. It's unbelievable. It was almost like he was a robot out there, and you knew exactly what his production was going to be every year. And he struggled last year, but man, I don't get it, man. Like I just don't understand how the A's just kind of punted him, But that's the A's for you, They're kind of done with you. It's over your career, no matter how good you done. They don't keep everybody for a long time. It's just kind of not their style. So to me, the Rangers won that trade. I think, if they get anything out of Chris Davis, the man can drive in some runs, that's for sure. And I think Elvis is out the door, man. I really do. So the more I look at this, the more I think, the Rangers kind of won this trade. But then I I don't know. We can talk about when we get to the lineup, but I'm not even sure he's in the lineup. So it's kind of interesting, man, from that perspective. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. If he plays regularly, I think he's going to do fine, but that's to be determined. So this trade is really, really, really unusual, and it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out for both teams, no doubt. So what do you think of the additions?
I think they did a really good job, man. They got Dane Dunning, 5 or 6 years of control over Dane Dunning, which I thought was a great move. I love the David Dahl move. David Dahl's basically been the same player up until last year. He's had some injury struggles, but 300 hitter with Colorado, which we know that can be inflated a little bit. He's going to hit you 15 home runs. It looks like he's going to be their starting center fielder as it looks now. The Arihara move, of course, this is spring training, and I'm not trying to put too much stock in it, but right now that's looking pretty good. They got him dirt cheap. I think he started 3 times. I looked up his stats yesterday. He's done well in all 3 starts. Fultonevich, I think if I read right, his velocity's way down. His ERA is about 10 right now in spring training. So that looks like it's, not looking good. And I will tell you, I even like the Nate Lowe trade. Ronald Guzman's been their first baseman. Not much of a hitter, good with the glove. I think it's good to have some competition. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. But to be honest with you, I like their offseason. I thought they made some shrewd moves. To me, Dane Dunning, is going to be the best of that crop, but we shall see. Here's the guy they lost, the guys they lost, DJ. So they traded Rafael Montero after a great year, traded him to the Mariners. Of course, Corey Kluber is with the Yankees. Mike Minor went back to the Royals. Lance Lynn with the White Sox. Elvis Andrus with the A's. And Danny Santana, if I'm not mistaken, I think he signed with the Red Sox on a minor league deal and is already injured. Do you have anything to add to that list?
Yeah, Shin-Soo Choo is in Japan. Scott Heineman to the Reds, Robinson Chirinos to your Yankees, Rob Refsnyder to the Twins, Rafael Montero to the Mariners, Nick Goody also to the Yankees. Edison Volquez is just a free agent. Luke Farrell to the Twins. Yeah, you name the rest of the guys for sure. So it's an interesting mix of guys that they lost. Nothing too crazy, I don't think. I really don't think any of these guys. Slow down. Shin Soo Choo had a really good career with the Rangers, and that guy, there's a lot of respect for the things that he did over the years. He was a really good hitter, man, and he finally wanted to go back there, and good for him, and had a really good major league career. So I think of all the guys there, they're gonna miss his bat, no doubt. He was kind of on the downswing a little bit, no doubt, in his career, but Derek Dietrich's another guy too. Like, he's to the Yankees too. That guy has bounced around like 5 different places since the Reds released him a couple years back, and he's a sneaky hitter, man, but he just can't stick anywhere, and he just can't fit in the lineup anywhere. I don't know what it is, but nobody seems to want to keep him around.
I looked him up. Obviously, I'm a Yankee fan, and they're talking about him possibly making the roster, but he's a typical Rangers hitter, man.
Yeah.
He's going to hit 175, and almost all of those hits are going to be home runs. And
yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I hope they don't keep him on the roster. I hope they can stash him in AAA. Now, watch me eat my words. Watch him come up and just mash. And so I look like a complete idiot, but he's kind of, like I said, your typical Rangers guy. So we'll see. Again, several of those guys are big names. They're definitely going to miss Lance Lynn. I mean, Lance Lynn has quietly been one of the best pitchers in the league now for 2 or 3 years, and they're going to miss those innings. Montero, but they sold high on Montero. He had a great year last year, and the Mariners, he's going to be the Mariners closer, it looks like, at least temporarily. So I think they'll miss both those guys, but I honestly think they may have gotten a little bit better, DJ. At least they're interesting to me. We talked about this a little bit, off air here. They've got some interesting players, but they're still, obviously a long way away. So why don't you tell me a little bit about their lineup, DJ, the lineup for 2021?
The lineup for Chris Woodward, of all managers, this guy, 2019 and 2020. He's on his 3rd season as the skipper of the Rangers, who, by the way, have never won the World Series, David. They are 0 for life as far as the World Series titles go. Lead off with Leody Tavares. So he came up last year, was a big prospect for them. Center fielder, 4 bombs, 6 ribbies, 227, batting average 308. Good to see him in the lineup for them every day now. Isaiah Kiner Falefa. I said that one again correctly, I believe. So he is your new shortstop, taking over for Elvis, who was there forever, it seemed like. 3 bombs, 10 ribbies, 280, 329. So a decent offensive year from him, but a really good defensive season for him, winning a Gold Glove for them. Willie Calhoun is your DH, 1 bomb, 13 ribbies, 190. Here's where you start getting problems, David. 231 on base. Joey Gallo, 10 bombs, 26 ribbies, 181 batting average, 301 on base. Nick Solak, second baseman, 2 bombs, 23 ribbies, nice RBI production, 268 batting, 326 on base, solid year for him. David Dahl comes back, left field, 0-9 as far as homers and ribbies, 183 batting average, 222 on base. Ronald Guzman, first baseman, 4 bombs, 9 ribbies, 244, 314 on base. Jose Trevino, catcher, 2 bombs, 9 ribbies, 250, 280. And Rufned Odor, 10 bombs, 30 ribbies. And this guy, man, this is what we're talking about. He's the face of what the Rangers do, man. Unbelievable. 30 ribbies in a short season, which is really good. You got to figure in 162, he's got an 81 ribby season because he had 30 and 60, so that's half of what he got there. So that's a nice RBI production, but he batted 167, David, with a 209 on base. Typical Rangers hitter right there. 47 Ks and 148 at-bats, which is another problem. These guys strike out a ton offensively. They got Jonah Heim on the bench, Charlie Culberson, Chris Davis, Delino DeShields Jr. On the bench. Chris Davis, I don't see him sitting the bench. I really don't. We talked about this a little bit already. you got to find a spot for him, I would think. But that's the lineup I've got so far. If you got something different, you can let me know. But we'll see, man. It's interesting. A lot of 100s in that lineup. Not good at all.
It's hilarious, DJ. I looked at probably 4 different sites, and everybody has a different lineup for the Rangers. I think the entire team is a position battle. I'm not even kidding. So the most common one I saw didn't have Tavares up. It had Dahl in center, which I thought was kind of weird. Because like you said, Tavares has been a big prospect, and we're going to talk about that here more in a second. And they had Davis in left field and Lowe at first. And so right there's like 4 differences just right out of the gate. So this is going to be an interesting team. I mean, they're going to be I'm going to say they're going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch to see who actually is going to play, because they've got some interesting prospects. They're knocking on the door. I mean, for instance, their catcher. And again, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But like I said, I believe the whole team is a position battle. So why don't you run through the rotation real quick there?
Kyle Gibson is your ace at 2-6 last year, 5.35 ERA, 58 Ks and 67 innings pitched. Jordan Lyles, 1-6, 7.02 ERA. Oof, I'm not even a pitcher, and I could probably do that. 36 Ks and 57 innings. Kohei Arihara comes over from Japan. Did not play, obviously, in the major leagues ever, so he's a rookie. Will be your 3rd starter. Dane Dunning, I believe, is one of the better pitchers on this team, is penciled in at the 4 spot. Could possibly be their ace, in my opinion. 2-0 last year, 3.97 ERA, 35 Ks and 34 innings. And Fulte is penciled in as the 5 starter. 0-1 last year with a 16.20 ERA, 3 Ks and 3.1 innings pitched. We had talked about the struggles there already. Penciled in as the 5. Not really sure where he's going to fit in or if he's even going to make this team. Jose Leclerc, you got to help me with the closer. That one I'm struggling with a little bit. And then Jonathan Hernandez is also in the bullpen there. And one guy I wanted to talk about real quick is a possible 5th starter candidate, and he started the first game of spring training for them. That's Wes Benjamin. Wes Benjamin, I know I'm giving a little love to the local guys here. He's a St. Charles East high school product. He works out with my current assistant coach who used to play for me. They work out together. He was a 48th round pick of the Yankees in 2011. He fought his way all the way to debuting in spring training in 2020. So he's been around for a long time in the minors. Finally got a shot a little bit last year. He was 2-1 with a 4.84 ERA, 21 Ks and 22.1 innings pitched last year. So he busted into the show, which is really cool. And then he, off of that 2011 Yankees draft, he 3 years later went in the 5th round to the Rangers in 2014 and has stuck with them since. So little shout out to Wes Benjamin in the bullpen there, possible 5th starter candidate, local product. Obviously was a really good pitcher in high school. So David, how do you see this this pitching lineup going out there every day?
Not going to be good. I don't believe it. I'm with you. Dane Dunning's going to be the ace. Arihara is the wild card here. You know, Japanese pitchers tend to go one way or the other. I can't remember the guy's name, but the Blue Jays signed a starter last year out of Japan, paid him pretty decent money, and just released him in the offseason. So is he going to be that? Is he going to be Kei Igawa? Y'all remember him from the Yankees days? Or is he going to be one of the more productive, Japanese pitchers, Hiroki Kuroda, and, the list it could go on forever there, Yu Darvish. So that's what we don't know. I remember Arihara, I remember looking at his stats and kind of wondering, if the Yankees should take a look at him there at one point. He's been a good starter in Japan. So, again, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But if that does not pan out, it's going to be a long year in Texas, man. It is going to be rough to watch. I mean, your number 2 starter had a 7.20 ERA last year, and that wasn't a small sample size. He sucked all year long. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. I do like the back end of their bullpen. Jonathan Hernandez is a stud. And Leclerc, had been a stud a couple years ago. So we'll see how that pans out. So, DJ, what is the biggest strength of the 2021 Rangers?
I don't know. For the first time, I had a really, really hard time finding an answer for this, man. I did. Like, I struggled mightily. I mean, is it that Wes Benjamin's in the pros? That's a strength. I'm cool with that. Maybe I'll
There you
just stick
go.
with that. Honestly, I don't know, David. I just don't like anything about this team. I really don't. I don't know what direction they're going. I hate their hitting philosophy with all the guys they've got. I don't get it. I have no idea what they're doing offensively with these guys. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. Maybe it's the cool field that they got now. That
What I
globe.
put.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. They're playing in an air-conditioned ballpark. That's pretty cool. That's about all I can say. Because, yeah, I mean, the lineup is interesting. It's got some interesting pieces. I don't totally crap on the lineup.
Okay, you got to explain this to me. What do you, I know you've been kind of saying that a little bit, but I'm just not getting it. What are you kind of feeling here a little bit?
Well, Falefa looks to be a pretty nice player.
Yeah.
He's very good shortstop, obviously. Of course, I think his gold glove was at third, if I'm not mistaken. So they
Yes.
moved him to short last year in the offseason. David Dahl could be interesting. Like I said, if I'm a Rangers fan, I'm excited about that pickup. Nick Solak, he's a former Yankee prospect. He's finally kind of getting his chance. I like him okay. And then you got a few guys that generally have some thump in there. Joey Gallo being the main one, Chris Davis. I mean, for me, it could keep me interested in it. That's just the best I'm going to say about it. I don't. It's definitely not the worst lineup, to be honest with you, that we've done this year. I think that award probably goes to the Pirates. But yeah, it could be bad as easy as it could be good. I'm just saying they got a couple players that are interesting.
I honestly, David, I think this is the worst team in the American League. I really do. And second worst team in baseball, I believe, behind the Pirates. Nobody's as bad as they are, but I don't see it, man. I would love to know what the over/under is on wins on these guys. I would push them really close to the 100 loss mark, if not a guaranteed thing. There, I really believe that they're going to push 100 losses this year. It's ouch. I know I hate to say this for the Rangers fans, but just don't see it, man. I don't see any strengths. I really don't. I'm having a really hard time with this. So hopefully they can, I don't hate the Rangers by any means, shape, or form, but I hope they prove me wrong a little bit and can be competitive. And they got great fans. There's no doubt. They got a really cool ballpark, nice ownership. All that stuff's going well for them, and they're gonna have full capacity fans this year. Thank God. That's awesome. It's gonna be about as normal as it can be in Globe Life Field this year, and so that's awesome. I love to hear that kind of stuff, and back to somewhat normalcy so far in Texas at least, and I'm looking forward to hopefully going there this summer. So we'll see.
So I guess the weakness is everything. But the main weakness, now that you brought it up, because I forgot, I'm just going to give it to their manager.
Yeah.
So, the lineup's bad. The pitching looks pretty bad. And your manager's terrible. So
it's weird, man. I know I said this 4 times already, but they're the same hitter. All those guys are terrible average. 5 guys in the hundreds. Nobody hit 300 except Sam Huff, who only had 55 plate appearances last year. Everybody else was in the 200s or the 100s. It's got to be that lineup, At least you were talking about with the pitching. There's a few guys you might catch that can turn into aces here. There's a couple guys there I believe that could be or pretty solid 1 or 2 guys in this rotation. I kind of believe in them more than anything, to be honest with you. And hey, they play great defense. They won 2 of the Gold Gloves. That's maybe a strength, I guess. But man, it's rough, man, no doubt. So I'll say everything as well, but a little more emphasis on that hitting lineup.
Yeah, it's that pitching again does have some interesting pieces. Good back into the bullpen. It probably won't be there come trade deadline time. Let's just be honest about it. Most likely, they're going to continue to sell off like these teams do. But oh man, it's going to be a long, long, long year in Texas. But hey, like we said before, at least it won't be hot.
Yeah.
So. Oh my goodness. So let's talk a little bit about position battles, DJ. What did you have for a position battle?
Yeah, so I'm a little interested in the DH position. I'm just trying to figure out how to get Chris Davis in the lineup, basically. I can see him being the DH. I really could. If Chris Davis's only job is to hit, he's going to be fine at that. I don't know if I would bother sticking him in the outfield. I really think they got better options defensively out there, I'm sure, and but Willie Calhoun, he's projected to be their DH from what I was seeing. So Calhoun has never really been a full-time starter. He's got a 21 homers and 48 RBI and is a career 269 hitter in 2019, I should say. So his last full season, let me start over. 21 bombs, 48 ribbies, 269 he hit in 2019, the last full season that we had. So, decent numbers as far as the last full season that we had when he went. And then Chris Davis, we talked about that consistency. 247. He hit 247 4 years in a row. I think I said 3 earlier, but he actually did it 4 years in a row. He hit 42 bombs in 2016, 43 in 2017, 48 in 2018, and 23 in 2019. So he started to go down a little bit. The ribbies went from 102, 110, 123 to 73. So he went slightly down in 2019, and then he kind of crashed last year. And then it just kind of seems like he fell off the earth, so to speak, David. It really does, and that happened fast. And I don't know, man. I don't know if he's completely done, if they saw this coming, the A's saw it coming. The Rangers obviously believe in him a little bit. They put him in the lineup, and I guess, I don't know if they're going to start him, but they believed in him enough to go get him, I guess. And that's a lot of ribbies in the last 5 years, David. That is a ton of run production. So if he can find it, he can be the DH. We'll see, but it doesn't seem like he's that highly thought of too much anymore.
Again, I don't blame the Rangers at all for trying to make that trade. It's a shot in the dark. They got him for a guy that, they weren't going to use anyway. So we'll see. I'm like you. Give him some ABs. It's not going to hurt anything. If nothing else, he's trade bait down the road. So we'll see. The position battle that I had was the catcher. So there's only one way to go, and that's up from here. Their catcher last year was Jeff Mathis, who hit, I believe it was 165. They got Jose Trevino penciled in there now, but they got two interesting prospects behind him. Jonah Heim came over from the A's in that same trade with Chris Davis. And then their number 2 prospect is Sam Huff, who, as you said, hit over 300 last year. And his 2019 minor stats were really good. 310 with 385 on base, 477 slugging. So looks like a good bat. I think Jose Trevino is just keeping the seat warm for one of those two guys. So we'll see. Heim, I believe, is a switch hitter, if I'm not mistaken. Real well known for his bat. And so they've got a couple options there. So keep an eye out on the catching position. So DJ, what is your favorite memory of the Texas Rangers?
So Nolan Ryan dominating on the mound for the Rangers from 1989 to 1993. I saw him pitch more for the Rangers than any other team that he pitched for in that gigantic career of his. I only saw him pitch for the Astros other than the Rangers, for about 3 years, and then the Rangers for about 5 years I saw him pitch. How a human can win ball games as a 42 to 46-year-old man still blows my mind. And as we're about to start hitting those ages, it blows my mind even more. David, to believe he could do that and still throw gas like he did. He was 51 and 39 with a 3.43 ERA in those glory years, in those Geritol years, man. Like, unbelievable production out of him that, just I can't believe it. And he kicked the snot out of Robin Ventura when Robin Ventura charged the mound. And I just absolutely loved that memory. I kind of cherish that one. I don't know what Robin Ventura was thinking to come after that big old Texas boy like he did. Robin Ventura, to your credit, dude, I truly, and I believe this, you're the greatest college baseball player of all time. I really believe that. However, you're also not very, smart in the brain if you're charging at Nolan Ryan thinking that you're going to beat him up. And boy, did you pay a price. And, man, I watched that clip a little bit coming into this podcast just to laugh about it again. And I thought Ryan bloodied him up a little bit more than he did. And Ventura wasn't bleeding as much. And then the reason I kept thinking that he bloodied Ventura up is because of your picture that you got on there with him bleeding. And I thought that was Ventura from the fight. So I don't know why Ryan is bleeding in this picture you got here.
Got hit in the face with a baseball.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And still
Yep.
pitched, I'm sure, right?
Still pitched. It would not come out. I think he ended up getting stitches. I believe it or not, I was watching this game when it happened. It was on ESPN. I think it was like Sunday Night Baseball or something back in the day. Yep, got hit, I believe, with a line drive. I don't remember exactly. But got hit in the face with the baseball. Said no, not coming out. Had to stitch that lip up later. But DJ, I had the same memory. I got to throw out to piggyback on what you were saying. 4 of those 5 years, DJ, he led the league in Ks per 9 as
Wow.
ages 42 through 46. He led the league in Ks per 9. And honestly, even his last season, which was, substandard by his marks or whatever, but in today's world, it's a number 3 or number 4 starter as a 46 or 47-year-old guy. And they weren't that bad. Like I said, I think he had a 4.33 ERA. So I love Nolan Ryan. I've always been a massive Nolan Ryan fan. He's the man. If you weren't a pitcher and read his story about throwing through the tire, I definitely, like every other kid, went out there and hung me a tire in the tree out there and tried to throw through it. Nolan Ryan was the man. So
And you took
hats
some
off to
Advil
him.
afterwards too, right? He was always on those Advil commercials.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I throw 300 pitches in a game, and then I take 2 Advil, and I'm ready to throw the next day.
I believe Nolan Ryan is about 70 years old now. Am I wrong on that? I need to look that up. But
yeah, I believe you're right too, man. I think he ended his career 46 years old in the early 90s there. So that makes total sense that he's, pushing about, that was about what, 30, 70s, mid 70s probably. So
crazy.
It is, man. And you still see him hanging out, at ball games and stuff. He is a big advocate, David, and I am too. Just being honest, I'm going to throw this out there. I think kids nowadays with their arms are babied too much. I really do. I think this pitch count stuff is garbage. I think all that stuff, I'm just old school when it comes to that. Like, I love the guys who give me the ball. My arm feels good enough, I'll do it. Like, if you play this game long enough, unfortunately, you're going to have Tommy John surgery once. Just going to happen. It's kind of the life you deal with as a pitcher. And I'm not, saying, oh, you're going to get Tommy John, I'm going to run you into the ground kind of thing. But it's inevitable. It really is if you're going to be a pitcher. And these guys need to start throwing a little bit more, especially at the youth levels. I don't get it. I just think they're babied far too much. And Ryan's a big guy as far as that goes too. He thinks that these guys, especially only like throwing 5 innings now, is ridiculous. And then you go to the bullpen for 4 innings. He doesn't get it. He says the starter should just go out there. It's his day to pitch, finish the thing, as long as you're doing good. I don't know. That's my philosophy on the whole thing. I know a lot of people are really different as far as that goes and believe you need to take care of the arms. I mean, if you're feeling something, I get it. Let's not throw you, but man, your job is to pitch. And when it's your time to take that ball, you take it and you run with it. And I know you were one of those guys, David, and I always like that about you. It was your turn to pitch. My turn, man. And until you pull me out of there, I'm going as far and as long as I can. So I just don't like that stuff.
I don't either. I agree with you on one hand. I'm going to disagree on the other. So I do think that it makes a lot of sense to me that they do pull pitchers in the 5th inning, and not that it doesn't have anything to do with the arm. It just has to do with the statistics say that the probability of runs being scored goes up. And so I don't blame him, especially with the many hard throwers as you have now in the bullpens. I don't blame him for going to that bullpen early, but I will agree with you. I think baby in these arms, it hasn't produced anything. Baby in the arms, there's no, probably, I don't know, that I know of, there's no stat out there that says it's helped prevent Tommy John surgery. And so, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I dare some manager to come out there in the 5th inning and try to take Nolan Ryan out and see what happens to you. You're going to look like his lip right there when you walk the other way. So I love a pitcher that's a gamer. Get out there and just try to gut it out, do your best. And but like I said, I do understand why they pull pitchers earlier. Now there's just so many good relievers, man. Every bullpen in Major League Baseball has guys that can throw in the mid to upper 90s, and they're good in short spurts. So I actually don't blame them for that. But DJ, I skipped one item there. Didn't mean to. But let's talk about their farm system, the Rangers farm system. I believe ranked towards the back. The article that I read said 21st in the league with 2 top 100 prospects, which are Josh Jung and Sam Huff, the catcher we already mentioned. So who's a prospect that we should watch out for this coming year?
So I'm going to go back to Leody Tavares, who debuted a little bit last year. I get that he came up, and I wasn't really expecting him to come up, but I kind of want to talk about him a little bit more so Rangers fans can kind of, I'm sure you already know, but kind of feel, a little bit more on what he's got. He's number 44 on the top 100 list. He's the only Ranger I saw in the top 100. I must have missed Huff there, but that makes total sense that Huff would be on there, no doubt, because he's a stud. So that makes total sense to me. I agree with you there. He's a 22-year-old Dominican, 6'2", 195 pounds, switch hitter, righty thrower, center fielder. He's a cousin of former Astro Willie Tavares, which is cool too. Leody made his debut in 2020, going 4 bombs, 6 ribbies with a 227 batting average, 308 on base, and 134 plate appearances. He looks to make more of a splash in 2021. So here he is. He got a little bit of a taste of him towards the end of last year, and now it looks like he's going to get a full-time gig here. I guess, like you were talking, if they got Dahl in center and then they do something else with this lineup. But from everything I've been reading, he's the guy that they've been looking forward to having in the lineup for a long time. So I think somewhere he's going to stick and be more of a full-time guy this year. So Rangers fans do have a pretty cool prospect there to look forward to. So who you got, David?
I actually picked the same guy. And a couple things to add to that. 8 for 8 in steals last year. He's in the 96th percentile of speed in the major leagues. And let me tell you what, that's fast. So obviously he's a burner. And I saw he had 15 home run power. If that's the case and he's a burner, that means he's an all-star center fielder probably. So that gives you Ranger fans something to look out for. And, man, I hope if he's ready to play that they do play him and play Dahl in left. That makes total sense to me. But you know how this service clock manipulation goes. I'm going to bet they're going to wait until like June or July and play him in AAA, and they're going to say, well, we had to, he needed more development. And that's just a way to save them some time. Major League Baseball needs to do something about that, because if the best players aren't playing in the major leagues, that's not good. That's not good for anybody. So I hope they fix that, but he's a very interesting prospect. And not your typical Rangers guy either. He's a high average guy, like you said, a switch hitter. So good defender. That would be another good defender in that outfield. Go with Gallo. So hopefully we see him at some point this year. So DJ, it's trivia time. I have to admit I didn't come up with anything, so I Googled while we were sitting here. So I hope you didn't pick the same question that I'm going to ask you. I pulled one out of your book right here. Can you name top 10 Rangers all-time home run leaders? Is that the one you picked?
No, but I can do this.
Can't do this. There's a ton of guys from our era on here.
All right. Adrian Beltre.
Number 6.
Mark Teixeira.
Nope.
Oh, I'm already getting X's. You guess he wasn't around there long enough. Pudge Rodriguez.
Number 4. 5. Number 5.
Number 5. Okay. Juan Gonzalez. Numero uno, indeed.
372.
Palmeiro.
Number 2.
How about Jim Sundberg?
Never heard of him.
Okay, this is a good one. Let's see here. How about Pete Incaviglia?
Nope.
Oh, no Pete Incaviglia. That's
so the next 1, 2, 3, 4. The next 4 guys are pretty recent. Then they got a guy.
Oh, Michael Young.
Michael Young is in there. Yep.
How many do I have so far?
You're missing now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Halfway there. All right. More recent guys, huh?
Yeah. One is not recent at all, and then the rest of them are fairly recent.
Oh, I can see who that old time guy would be too, and that big old masher that they used to have back in the day. What is his name?
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, he played first for them. He was I got his face. Now that's gonna kill me when I hear his name finally. Doggone it.
Just think about switch hitter, one of the cockiest players in the history of baseball from the 90s.
Cockiest player from the 90s, switch hitter, huh?
Played for the Yankees twice.
Oh man. Ruben Sierra?
Ruben Sierra, absolutely, 180 home runs. Then you're missing the worst Yankee in the history of the world.
The worst. Oh, duh. A-Rod, duh.
Yes.
How did I forget it?
The worst human being, maybe. I'm not sure.
It goes back to that when you keep throwing out of my brain that he's a Mariner and he never was a Yankee, and then we always just put him in the Mariners book. I forgot he signed a $700 million deal with the Rangers there, and
yep. And it was awesome for the little bit that they had him. I mean, 156 home runs probably in like 4 years or something. So
yeah,
3 years. So yeah, he was amazing when they had him, because we all know why.
I'm gonna kick myself when I hear the guy who is the
down to two. One of them was a stud second baseman, and your old guy that you can't remember.
I mean, when you think second baseman, you always go Michael Young there, and I can't think of who else would be there. Oh, Ian Kinsler. Yep. Ian Kinsler is definitely. Oh, I love Ian Kinsler. I tell you what. And while we're talking about Ian Kinsler, real quick, Rangers fans, to me, and I kid you not, this is one of the prettiest right-handed swings I have ever seen in my life. I loved the way he swung the bat. It was awesome. He's the Ken Griffey Jr. of left-hand swing for me, as Ian Kinsler's right-hand swing. I absolutely adored his. I show a lot of my players how he swings. Awesome. Man, I'm gonna. Can you give me the initials of the old time guy? Because this is driving me nuts.
FH.
FH. Man, I'm gonna give up, but I'm gonna kick myself here.
Frank Howard.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Doggone it.
You're all around it.
Yeah. I missed that one bad. I got his face in my head. I just couldn't put that one together. So I'll take 5 on that. That was pretty bad. Well, I can't believe I didn't get A-Rod. That was probably the worst of all that. But so David, I got yours for you now. From 1980 to 1990, he was the Rangers' top of the rotation pitcher who compiled a 139 and 123 record as a Ranger. Only 3 times during those 11 years did he not pitch 200 innings. My 139 wins is an all-time Rangers record. I threw a dirty knuckleball like David Swor. Who am I?
Charlie Huff.
Yes, sir. Nice one.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Charlie Huff looked 60 years old when he was in his 30s. I don't even know if you watch, believe it or not, this is just random, but I was Googling knuckleballs one day, like recently, like a couple weeks ago, and they had his on there. And it literally looks like somebody's grandpa's out there throwing. It's the weirdest thing. Like, it looks like you're watching, old timers day baseball. And it's like, nope, this is a major league game. Yeah. It's Charlie Huff. You guys, if you're still listening to this, go do yourself a favor and Google Charlie Huff, and there'll be a picture of him on there. And it totally looks like an 80-year-old man out there throwing a knuckleball. But it was nasty. Nobody could hit it.
So true. And I got a bonus trivia question for you guys. Since this is Rangers night, we had to come up with some fun stuff since we kind of dogged the team the whole time. David, name the 5 Rangers whose numbers are retired.
I think Juan Gonzalez has to be in there, right? Even
He
though
is
he was.
not, but that's surprising to me.
That is very surprising. He was one of the most feared hitters of the 90s. And again, we know why. I get it.
Yeah, number one all time at bombs, but like you said, we get it.
Pudge,
Pudge is on there. Yep,
Adrian Beltre,
you got it.
Nolan Ryan.
You got it.
I'll say Charlie Huff. He's the all-time wins leader. I don't know.
Kind of look at that though, right?
Yeah,
Is Charlie
I
Huff
mean,
in the Hall of Fame?
no, but he has a ton of wins, but he also has a ton of losses.
Okay.
So he didn't make it in the Hall of Fame list. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Are they all position players?
The one guy I just mentioned in the top 10 with bombs. He's kind of
Michael Young.
Yeah,
Michael
and then
Young.
you'll never get the fifth. Johnny Oates, which is kind of cool, right? Manager. They retired his number, which is pretty cool. I guess they got a manager retired, so they thought really highly of him, obviously. And
Yeah.
so yeah, those are my two, man. Nice job. You did pretty good on those. Better than I did for sure. So, which is rare for everybody else.
Very rare. It is very rare, no doubt. So DJ, let's talk stadiums here for a second. I just want to go ahead and go on record. I loved the ballpark at Arlington.
Yeah.
I hated that they went away from there. I thought it was a super cool stadium, but after reading some articles, I get it. So I guess it was brutal watching a game there in the summer. And so that's why we have the new stadium, Globe Life. So were you able to go to either one of those places?
No, I didn't get Arlington in when they closed that after 1993, and then they went to, like you said, the one in Arlington until 2019. I missed both of those. However, this summer I will be going to the new Globe Life. That is on the vacation list. We are going to Texas. I will hit the two Texas stadiums, and then hang out on the beach and fry like a tomato out there, some beach down there or whatever, and try to feel somewhat normal in a normal state in Texas and get out of prison for a little while. So I'm excited about it, no doubt. It looks really cool, man. They held the World Series there last year. Looked like an awesome field, and like you said, the retractable roof has to happen in Dallas. And this is you're just burning out there watching the game. Looks pretty cool. I'm hoping to hit this one this summer, like I said. So yeah, I mean, looks like a massive field. Looks really modern, up to date. Looks way better than the Arlington Stadium for sure. And then I like the old Globe Life too, so I was with you on that. But it wasn't around very long at all. And then you kind of see that it's 100 degrees there almost every day, and that's just got to be brutal to play in and watch. So makes sense to me, man. What do you think?
Yeah. So DJ, while you're there, you have to go. The old ballpark is still there. The newest old ballpark, the one they used to call the ballpark at Arlington, the former Globe Life Field, whatever you want to call it. It's still there. I think if I read correctly, an XFL team has been playing there, and maybe they play some soccer and some other things there. So you got to go visit that too. But I'm with you. The new Globe Life looks awesome. Anytime you can watch baseball in air conditioning without having to get sunburned, it's pretty cool. So. Yeah, I'd like to add that to my list as well. I love Texas. So are you going to hit the Astros while you're down there too?
You betcha. I'm going to get both of those on vacation this year. Those are my two spots. This year I'm going for sure. Going to hit Cleveland with you over Labor Day. And of course, as much Cubs and White Sox as our lovely mayor will allow us to go to this year. So that's my kind of plan this year, is to get those three in and then go to a few home games this year. So it'll be fun. If Texas will be really fun. I'm looking forward to that more than the Cubs and White Sox this year, to be honest with you, man, because that just doesn't look very fun right now. So Texas looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited to go down there. And what a year to go to Texas. This is like the perfect year to go there because everything is crazy. And so that is like the least of all the crazy states. So I'm excited to go there, no doubt.
DJ, let's wrap it up here. What's your predicted finish for the Rangers?
Oh man, I got them in fifth in the AL West. I gave this away. 100 losses is very possible. The Mariners are just getting better and better. That's the only team in the division I was a little hesitant about moving them ahead of. But the Mariners, when you look it down, up and down, break it down, the Mariners are way better than them, and it's not even close. And when their prospects come up, it even becomes more of a separation. So, I'm just not sure. This isn't like a third or second worst team in baseball. It just feels that way. It really is that way. I'm not impressed with the guys' team at all. Joey Gallo is a beast, but that batting average is brutal. So I just don't feel it, man. I really don't. I'm not putting much stock into this team at all. So what do you think, David?
I'm right with you. I think they might be a little bit better than the worst team in the American League. I think the Orioles are going to give them a real run for their money on that one this year because they did get rid of the few guys that they had who produced last year, and they're going totally young. So I think they may not be the worst team, but they're going to be in the conversation. So I totally agree with you. It's going to be a long year for the Rangers this year. So, DJ, I can only come up with one former Temple player, and he's a guy we've mentioned here quite a bit. That was a Ranger fan, and that is our boy Brad Guffey. Shame on you, Brad. Shame, shame, shame. You should have been here. I know you would have had that spatooter right there. It would have been good to see you back in action again. So you got to come on the show sometime, if for nothing else, to talk some baseball.
No doubt, Brad. A lot of good memories with him. He was actually my roommate for one semester in college. The only guy on the team that was faster than I was. I thought I was going to be the fastest guy on the team, and then I saw him running. I was like, oh, well, that's over. I can't be the fastest guy on the team anymore. So, man, could he run. That boy could fly. He had awesome speed. Me and him actually collided in the right center field gap one time, and I almost blew my knee out. I partially tore my MCL, missed about a week and a half with that injury. That was the only time in college I got injured, thank God. But me and him colliding is full speed ahead, and that was not cool at all. So a lot of good memories with Brad, though. I think he should have played a little bit more than he did in college, to be honest with you. But he wasn't there, and he definitely should have been used on the base paths anytime he was given the chance because he could steal bases and he could flat out fly in a gapper. So really good ball player, a lot of fun to hang out with, a good friend of ours, obviously. And Brad, you got to come on the show sometime, man. We want to do this Rangers one with you one of these years for sure. And, not just come on in the summertime, in the off season, whatever. But Bradley Guffey, man, that's my shout out for the Rangers for sure, no doubt.
We're going to wrap up the episode. Looks like maybe tomorrow we're going to be talking some Cubs. And so that ought to take about 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, there's nothing to see here. That's
kind of funny you say that because I was looking through all of last year's podcast, and by far the Cubs were the lowest amount of time that we spent on one of them. And I think the reason was it was our very first episode ever was the Cubs last year, and we were like 45 minutes long, and I was like, did we talk about the Cubs enough? And we just went 57 minutes on the last place team in the American League West. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. We got a guest coming on tomorrow, Eric Benedict, to join us for the Cubs. That'll be a lot of fun. Obviously, I've been looking forward to this one. This is my team, so I'm excited about that, David. And I know you're awfully excited about talking about them first place Cubs as well. So we'll get into that.
Oh yeah. Well, all right, guys. We look forward to talking some more baseball tomorrow. Please like our YouTube page and share this for us. Help us to get rich and famous, and we'd sure appreciate it.
All right. Good night, everybody.